Let's go to the Yape Kusau constituency and speak to the representative of the people there, Honorable John Abdullah Jinapor. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Thank you very much.
Your leader lamented and raised so many issues about the state of affairs in the country, saying that we are currently in a hole and we should stop digging. And yet, the House approved $710 million extra on our books, even though I've just heard John Kumade explain that it's not a new loan agreement. Is that really the case?
Thank you very much. First of all, it is not true that the House unanimously approved those loans. If you first of all look at the committee report, it will tell you that it is by majority decision. It is a committee report that would normally inform the House as to where to go. And the committee report would attest to the fact that the minority side objected. And so the majority carried the day by one single vote. It was the same with the taxes in Parliament. Despite the resistance we put up, calling for a head count, all those draconian, inimical taxes that would very soon burden Ghanaians, all of them were passed by the majority side. So today, the voice vote would clearly indicate that the minority side, we gave an emphatic no, that the Speaker gave it to the majority side because they have the numbers. And so if anybody wants to blame the majority for the recklessness of this government, for the insensitivity and the incompetence of this government, I think that it would be very, very unfortunate and unfair.
All right. So you did not agree to the loan, but you sat in the chamber. Would you not have, or was there a better way of refusing to take part so that if you had staged a walkout, it would be evident that you were not part? If you had gone to the ballot box to vote again, then that would be something that we can really read the numbers and say, this is how many minority members voted, this is how many majority members voted. But by simply sitting in there and giving a voice vote and not even challenging the voice vote, having followed Parliament and covered the House for many years, I do know that the voice votes is the discretion of the eardrums of the speaker, but you have the option of challenging that. You did not challenge it. So could it be said then that you are in cahoots with the majority side, but you just pretended?
You challenge that based on the numbers. The numbers will tell you that when you call for a head count, you would win. You don't call for a head count just because you want, say, 20 people to vote yes, and then 15 will vote no, and it will be on record that 15 voted no. The essence of the head count is to challenge the decision of the Speaker and to say that, Mr. Speaker, you got it wrong. It is rather the minority side that carried the day. And so we want to be vindicated with the head count. Secondly, we've had a lot of walkouts, and people have also complained that no, sit in, protest, and let the records show that your voice was heard. And so having weighed all the options, I'm sure that the minority leader, the Honorable Kesela Tofosun, who is quite experienced in Parliament, thought that we should stay, first of all, state our position so that it is captured in the Hansard, but more importantly, when it gets to the voice vote, and I'm sure Citi TV covered it, you would have noticed that the minority side did indeed raise our voice to say no. We wanted a head count initially, if you look at proceedings. Honorable Boaz stood up and insisted that the voice vote should be taken, and we're ready for a head count. But the Speaker refused. The Speaker declined and insisted that he was not going to take it because at that time, the majority side had not marshaled their numbers. So if there's anybody to be blamed, it cannot be the minority side. We have gone for similar votes in the past. And I just gave you examples with the taxes. And you and I know the outcome of those votes. So I think that we are well grounded. We did the right thing. We believe that the taxes are unnecessary. For a country that has defaulted in honoring its debt, you don't go about borrowing and piling the debt when you can't even borrow existing loans. Ghana government has defaulted on almost all its debt obligations, including that of Ghanaians. Even those the government claimed were exempted, government has defaulted and is not honoring the coupon payment.
I see. When the deputy minister says to us that this is nothing new, um, can you please take away the policies and explain to us why this would be an addition to the national debt and not part of the existing debt already, which has just been ratified by Parliament?
The deputy minister is being very, very disingenuous, to say the least. He should better go and read the report that came from the committee. The committee says this is a loan agreement between the government of Ghana and the World Bank for 200 million. Another one is with IMF for about 150 million. Another one for COVID for about 60 million. What he calls as on-lending simply means the government will borrow and on-lend it to another entity. That's what we call on-lending. On-lending means that I borrow and I onwardly lend it to you. So as far as the parties are concerned, government is a party to that agreement. If government wanted to lend directly to an entity, if an organization or a foreign entity wanted to lend directly to a government entity, they could have done so. ECG contract loans, GRICO contract loans, they don't call them on-lending. On-lending means that government is part, and even contingent liability. When these organizations fail to pay and it crystallizes, government is compelled to absorb that and account that onto the national accounting framework. That is why our debt to GDP has all of a sudden increased from about 79 to 104%, because this government deliberately refused to capture certain national debt, like the Sino-Hydro facility, like the Daiichi bond, and all those other extra bonds that they deliberately use creative accounting to put off the balance sheet. The IMF has suddenly come to tell them that no, that is not in accordance with the Public Financial Management Act. That is not in accordance with public accounting systems. Absorb them and put them back onto the national balance sheet. So all of a sudden, our debt to GDP has ballooned from about 79 to over 100%. So I think that John Kuma should take his time, learn from past experience, and move away from this narrative that has brought this country on its knees and that has brought such level of embarrassment to this country that today, when you go for international conferences, Ghana is used as a test case, an example of a bad way of managing the economy. That is not what we want. We've seen several IMF programs. This is the only IMF program that is so draconian that almost everybody has had to suffer for this government's inefficiency. He should get away from that because it won't help him at all.
But can you explain to me why there's emergency added to COVID-19 and there's a loan for that? What is that about?
That is exactly why we refuse to be part of it. Even the past approvals that we gave, the previous approvals, have not been well accounted for. And Auditor General's report is clear. If you read that Auditor General's report, it tells you that those COVID funds were misapplied, underutilized, and not properly managed. So if past experience is anything to go by, we do not even see why we need the system. Most countries have gone past COVID and are doing very, very well. Ghana has decided that it will get bogged down by a so-called COVID pandemic, misuse resources. And the interesting thing is that most of those loans, they have grace periods. Grace periods means that you wouldn't pay for a certain period of time. And most of them are around 5 years. So this government, Kenya Foreta as minister, would not pay anything out of this loan. It is rather President Mahama and his government, when we took over in 2025, then we will have to be preparing to pay most of these loans that they are contracting now.